Welcome. So the start of this video occurred about 3 weeks ago, and I wasn't actually intending to film that weekend. Gone out, family, been over to Great Yarmouth, was on my way back, had been trying to charge a couple of times. I tried to charge at the East Dereham Genie charger, and which is actually where I'm on my way to now, but we'll see more about that later. And it failed, but the real story started a couple of days earlier when I tried to charge at a Polar charger, and we'll see what happened now. Apologies for the darkness, I'm sitting in the garage quite late. I just had a new message come up on my screen which I haven't seen before, so obviously one I'm going to have to get checked out. I can't actually tell any difference, but it's showing me this new message. Okay, to drive with caution, brake pedal feel reduced. But I can't feel any difference in the brake pedal feel, so it's maybe a spurious message. Seems to be driving fine, seems to be braking fine, which is obviously the most important thing. Obviously I will get it checked out, but yeah, a bit of an odd one. Okay, next morning and that message has disappeared, but I'm told that it might be a sign of something more serious with the 12-volt battery, so I'm going to go get it checked out anyway. But yeah. Yeah, so that wasn't very good. Hadn't seen that message before. People on the forums telling me it was something I really need to sort out. But it went away the next day, and I thought, well, okay, I've got this trip to Yarmouth I'm supposed to be doing, and I took a risk on it, and I probably shouldn't have done. I probably should have got that looked at before I did any different journeys. Lesson learned. Anyway, I set off for Yarmouth, no problem at all, drove down there, drove back, and was charging at the Genie charger. Well, trying to charge at the Genie charger. Charged there many times before. This time, it just didn't want to work. So phoned them up, they didn't think they had any problems with the charger. They asked me if I'd had the latest charging update from Jaguar, which I have had, as you know. And yeah, that was basically where we left it. I couldn't get to charge there, so decided to take a trip to Swaffham, which I knew there was another charger in the centre of Swaffham, and started charging on that, and it came up with a high voltage fault, and that's where we joined me. So things have escalated. I need to stop here in Chippy in Swaffham because my car just came up when I started charging it with high voltage problems. Unable to proceed with caution, but unfortunately I couldn't proceed with caution because as soon as I started to move, it went clunk, large clunk, and just wouldn't do anything else. Symptoms have been that you saw that issue before, but now it's just escalated. Yeah, so Jaguar have sent it. I've contacted the assistants through the button in the car, and Jaguar are on the way with their assistants, probably about an hour's time, hopefully, maybe an hour and a half. We'll see what they can do. Whether they can actually do anything on a Sunday night, I don't know. We'll see. So I've managed to get it actually to start charging, but only on a Type 2 charger. Sorry about the croaky voice today, I've a bit of a cold. Yes, on the Seacold charger, I've managed to get it charging on the Type 2 charger. I'm still waiting for the engineer to come out. When I got back to the car, it did seem to have cleared the error, so it may have been okay to drive, but I really just don't want to risk it. About 40-50 miles away from home, so I wouldn't want to get stuck on some of these roads. So just wait to see what he comes out and says. Hopefully we'll sort things out. Due in about 7 o'clock, which is 40 minutes from now. By that time, hopefully I'll actually have enough charge on the Type 2 to get home. The CCS failed on this one. It also failed on an Genie charger at Dereham, which I've charged on before and absolutely fine. So I think it's the car which has been misbehaving, probably to do with that braking error I got the other day. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the car booked in to have that looked at until this coming week. So yeah, I probably shouldn't have taken it for a drive today, but it was already booked in, something I needed to do. So yeah, sometimes you can't get away with these things. Probably risking it a bit, but anyway, it's hopefully going to be sorted. So it's now 25 to 8. We've had the AA man appear, obviously not an expert on EVs, a little bit of knowledge but not very much, but now we're now waiting for a low loader to appear. Typically the car decided to start behaving as he got here, but he's still of the opinion that I shouldn't risk the drive home, and they're sending out low loader to take me home. So no, that's okay, and I'll get into the dealer as soon as I can. Well, there's kind of something missing now. Okay, as you can see, the car has gone now. It's on the back of a low loader on its way to a secure depot in Kings Lynn. I'm now waiting for a taxi to take me to Peterborough. The car, I think, is going to end up at the nearest Jaguar dealer, which they seem to think was Norwich rather than Peterborough, so that's a bit worrying. I'm not quite sure that's not going to be particularly convenient, but we'll have to see. Just keeping an eye out for the taxi. Hopefully I'll be on my way soon, but yeah, not the best of stories. I will see what happens. Well, as you can see, it's getting later and later. This is about 20 minutes after I said that the taxi was on its way. Still waiting. I've been told it should be here by now, but I've still no sign of it. This is getting a bit annoying. I mean, it's left standing in the cold. Fortunately, it's not raining, but yeah, it's not the standard service I would expect. Oh, finally back home. Yeah, sorry about the croaky voice. It's got worse being out in the damp and cold. So my car's on the way to Kings Lynn. Find out what's going to happen to it later. But they arranged a taxi, got home okay. So I think with the state of the voice, I may not be recording tomorrow, but I'll speak to you once I know a bit more. Okay, slightly less croaky than I was last night. Still full of cold, but yeah, staying out in the wet and the rain didn't help. So my car's actually been taken to Norwich. Apparently it was the nearest dealer to the pickup, and that's what they do. Also, I was told that they have electrical specialists at Norwich and they don't at Peterborough, which sounds really odd to me, because I've met the electric specialist at Jaguar, Marshall Jaguar, unless he's left, of course. Anyway, so the current situation is it's going to be at Inchcape in Norwich until it's repaired. Then they'll bring it back to me. No diagnostics or anything yet. They've only just had it delivered to them. It was put in a holding pan overnight and taken to them. What they have done is arrange with the local dealer for me to have a courtesy car for the duration. So I'm going to get some form of Range Rover, no idea what, but we'll see. And I'm hoping that there's a taxi on its way. I'm just keeping an eye out to see if that comes to pick me up on my way. But yeah. So I don't know what's going to go. I mean, I felt last night it was a little bit disorganised. They didn't quite know what was going on, but I think that's probably because it was a Sunday. Difficult to get hold of people and get things organised. Seems a lot better organised this morning since I've been talking to them. Very prompt to get things organised in terms of the courtesy car and everything. Obviously, no EVs available as courtesy cars, which is a shame, but beggars can't be choosers on these things. I think you're covered. I think at some point these car companies have to get around to having EVs as cars, because it costs a fortune in fuel with these other cars. But never mind, at least they're going to have a vehicle to drive for a while. So that's good. I'll speak to you later. Ooh, that's not I'm kind of hidden behind the steering wheel, but in this Range Rover Sport, I think it is. Actually not sure what model it is, but I just picked it up. Yeah, interesting. Very high compared to the I-Pace. Very sluggish compared to the I-Pace. This is supposed to be a sport model, I believe. Controls are interesting though. Let's see if I can just bring this around and show you the controls. So, 2 screens, a bit like the I-Pace. These do push-pull. Well, they push like the I-Pace to the seats. Big touch screen. Quite interesting. This seems reasonably responsive. Let's do the classic I-Pace test. Just go to all settings. Yeah, it doesn't come, not too bad. Seems to be responding reasonably quickly. Probably about the same as the iPaces though. I don't think it's any better. I'm not sure about navigation, let's try that. Yeah, that seems to load up alright. Petrol stations nearby. That's a bit of a strange one for me. And I'm going to have to put diesel in this one, which is going to be interesting. Yeah. But yeah, other than that, not too bad. One thing which did catch me out, this has only got cruise control, not adaptive. I almost went flying into the back of something. Never mind, I got a quick lesson learned. It does have all the other features though, so yeah, it seems to be interesting in the mission. Auto limiter, speed recognition, all that sort of stuff. No 360-degree cameras though either, so made parking a little bit challenging because this thing is massive. Yep. So I'm not entirely sure how long I've actually got this for, but we'll see. No, nothing from the actual dealer that's got my car yet. It was a bit confusing when I came to pick this up. Jaguar Land Rover in Peterborough is actually split into Jaguar and Land Rover, and the order for the courtesy car had actually gone into Land Rover, not Jaguar. So when I arrived, they were sort of puzzle stares and recovered car. Do we know anything about that? But they soon sorted it out, and I have to give them credit for that. Anyway, I'm going to take my croaky voice and have a rest. But yeah, it looks good. Yeah, so this is the beast I'm driving. It's a big car. So there's not much I like on the Land Rover more than I like the iPace, but this centre console's quite cool. It's like a magic trick. So if I open it like this, we've got a set of leaflets, a sort of flat box where you can put your parking tickets like I've got on here. And then if we seemingly do the same, we end up with this deep refrigerated storage area. Yeah, magic. So I know people often complain about the controls on the steering wheel. I know iPace have been looking a bit cheap, but I have to say these probably look better, but they're way more difficult to use. I found them quite difficult to press. And I was finding I was skipping past the options I wanted to get to. Yeah, don't know quite why that is, but it's just the way they're raised, I think. And maybe there's padding on the steering wheel to the side of it. But yeah, definitely not as easy to use as the controls on the iPace, even though the ones on the iPace perhaps look a bit cheaper. Similarly with the cruise control, I was going to say adaptive cruise control, but as we found out, this doesn't have adaptive cruise control. Another day in the Range Rover. There's a Range Rover Sport, I found out since I last spoke to you. Just been in the solar and stored energy show, which is quite interesting. I'm covering up fascinating tech. One or two EV bits in there, quite an interesting presentation on smart charging. Yeah, so quite obviously that's now part of the OLEV grant requirements. You have to have smart charging on your charger at home to actually get it to qualify for the grant. And basically what smart charging means is it's controllable, monitorable. Yeah, pretty interesting stuff. So a couple of things on this vehicle. It's very interesting how unluxury it feels. I mean, it feels luxurious in terms of the seats and everything like that, and really good like that. But I mean, things like the lack of adaptive cruise control definitely feels unluxury these days. But it's the noise. I mean, for a diesel, it's really quiet, but still, it doesn't have that calmness that my car currently has. Would have if I had it back. Audio system does seem a bit better. That's one thing I have noticed, a bit more punch to it. Maybe that's just an adjustment thing. Maybe the bass is turned up in this one. I haven't really looked to see. I usually like very transparent sound though, so that'd be unusual if that was the case. But anyway, yep, driven nearly 60-70 miles in it today. Interesting, I filled it up with diesel. I think it costs £30 for 200 miles of range, which is interesting because I usually pay
£6 for, or £5 for 30 miles for 200 miles of range, or even less, depending on how I top up. But anyway, there you go. Interesting fact. I'll leave it there. So I've just had a call from the Jaguar dealer in Norwich, who've got my car since it's been recovered. This is about 2 weeks in now, actually, yeah, 2 weeks and a day. So I've been struggling to actually get hold of them. They did promise to phone back today, and they did, so that's good. And they're basically saying that they're currently still investigating. They're to and fro between them and JLR, trying to get to the root of the problem, which is a bit disappointing really. I was hoped they'd have got somewhere by now. I did see they took the 12 volt battery out. I could see that on the Wattcat app, which shows you what the voltage of the 12 volt is. And I also got a security alert again, a theft alert, because they monitor if the battery's disconnected, and so check to see your car's not being stolen. So that was good, that happened. But the other thing I've noticed today on Wattcat, and Wattcat is a Android application, Android only unfortunately, no hint that ever will be anything other than Android, but it's a really good app. It's a third-party app for the iPace. It's available on ipaceforums.co.uk. You have to, it's in private beta, so you have to request access to it. But one of the things it's got is this wonderful status page that shows you what's going on with your car. And at the moment it's showing that I've got 0 volts on my TCU battery, which is quite interesting. 12 volts on the main battery, which is good. Now, because that's actually more than 12 volts, 13 odd volts, because that was showing 0 volts earlier in the week, obviously when they disconnected it. So they've made some progress, I think, in doing some bits and pieces. At least they're looking at it, at least it's working, but I would like a bit more communication. I think this is a common theme with Jaguar dealers, that things go in and disappear into a black hole, and unless you chase, you don't get told anything. I think they've got to do better with that.
There's not much in the Range Rover I would like to see in the iPace, but I think I'd like to see this in all cars. I think this is really clever. There's not one, but 2 sun visors. So if you've got one to the side, you can still have one to the front. I think that's really clever. Yeah, so I'm getting very little information on my car, unfortunately. I've tried to phone the dealer quite a few times. They did get back to me once, I think on Monday this week. This is the Thursday, 2 and a bit weeks after the car was recovered. Yeah, so a bit disappointed by that. There should be someone in charge of communicating to people what's going on with vehicles, especially when they've been recovered. So, I would actually think that's probably a JLR thing they should be doing. The customer service should be contacting you and letting you know what's going on, rather than having to rely on the dealer. So I'm standing by the rather gorgeous location for our October 20th meetup, and I've just had some good news. I've just had a phone call from the garage in Norwich to say that my iPace is ready for pickup. I can go and pick it up tomorrow morning. So I'm going to have to drive over to Norwich from Peterborough, which seems a bit of a faff. They should do better than that. They recovered it to Norwich, not to Peterborough. I think they should be arranging for me to have some sort of delivery done, but I'll drive over there, it's fine. I've got time to do it. I'm glad to get my car back. Now, what's a bit worrying is they don't seem to really know what happened. I know they took the 12 volt battery out, and it's been either replaced or it's been recharged, because it's definitely showing much higher voltage than it was earlier on the Wattcat system. They've kind of blamed the charger for the problem. I don't believe that, but they say they've been signed off by JLR, sorry. JLS, that'd be fun, wouldn't it? Signed off by Pop Group, signed off by JLR. So yeah, it should be good.
Are you sure you can even see me? It's so dark in here. Anyway, it's crazy o'clock in the morning. I'm off to take this car back. It's a bit brighter now than it was earlier. Just made it to the outskirts of Norwich. I've forgotten just how busy traffic gets around Norwich in the morning. It's been a long time since I've been here during rush hour, but it's sluggish. It's cooling. So it was only going to be about half an hour later than I thought I would get, but never mind. Still going to pick up the car this morning. Yeah, it's definitely fun. Safety camera. So I just thought I'd give my final thoughts on this car. Actually, it's I'm just, I can't go back to a diesel or a petrol car. It's just weird. It's the vibration, the lack of quietness. I mean, this is a reasonably quiet car, but it's a very comfortable car. The seats are great. I mean, it's got a lot going for it in lots of ways, but no, just no. Anyway, So I've done quite a few miles in it. Fuel economy has not been brilliant. I reckon I've put in 4 times as much money as I would spend on electricity in the same period of time, and I've actually done a lot less mileage than I normally would do in an electric car. So yeah, the EV pays for itself. It's interesting, some of the similarities between this and the iPace. So the obviously entertainment system's got a lot of similarities, navigation system, and this is really sluggish, the system on this car. Probably more sluggish than the iPace. I know it needs an update or what, but it's been pretty poor to actually use. Well, I parked up outside the Jaguar dealership in Norwich. Let's go in and see what I've done with my car. Actually, I can see it from here, it's outside. So yeah, looking good. There she is, looking all beautiful and clean. Looking forward to driving her back home. Missed that car. My car, hurrah! Yeah, picked up. I couldn't find the keys for a little while. So yeah, it's all sorted out apparently, but they really haven't done much. They've done a lot of testing, taken the battery out, checked it, put it back in, and everything reset, and it seems to be okay. But yeah, not much they've actually done to fix it, other than run loads and loads of diagnostics on it. Jaguar are saying it's fine, so we'll see. They're actually blaming the charger. Not quite sure which charger they're blaming, probably the polar one on the first day. So they had some spurious voltages, so that's a bit weird. That one's been fine up to now, but we'll see. Let's see how it gets on. Glad to have it back anyway. I'm going to try one of the same chargers I tried on the way back and see what happens. But Jaguar are happy that the car is okay. It's been checked by the specialist team at JLR. So what do I think about this service? Well, certainly the recovery could have been better. I think part of that was it was a Sunday night, difficult to get a specialist out. I suspect if I'd actually had one of the specialist technicians come out, one of the ones who specialise in the iPace, I would not be picking up my car today. I would have had it all the way along. That's what my thought pattern is at the moment. She gets to try a new road. I've never been on this road before. I used to live in Norwich, and this is a new road, so very interesting. Oh, I love that surge, love that turbo torque surge. It's like that's that Porsche Taycan with its turbo name, which is famously, but yeah, the torque surge is gorgeous. Yeah, so what do I think about the service? Well, I think the biggest problem has been communication. This is 3 weeks in, 4 weeks in almost in, since I had the car recovered, and I've had no communication from Jaguar Recovery or Jaguar themselves, other than the initial Sunday, and when I phoned them on the Monday, and I had to phone them to find out where my car was. That's not really good enough. I think they should be much more proactive than that. They should be checking up on you, making sure you're okay. And then once the car got to the dealer, it was kind of just handed off to the dealer to deal with me. And I've just seen today, they're incredibly busy as a dealership. And their service department is absolutely rammed. So getting someone on the phone at the dealership is just a nightmare. And I won't let them use how busy they are as an excuse, because they never phone me back, except for once. They did phone me back once. A very brief message quite late in the evening, after I'd moaned that I hadn't heard from them for over a week. In fact, almost 2 weeks, despite chasing them every other day. And then they phoned me last Friday to go through the new checklist for charging problems, which is a Jaguar initiative, so they're trying to collect data on what chargers are causing issues. And that was basically reading off a script. There wasn't any help there, and the lady who phoned me had no idea what was actually happening with my car at that point. So it was only really yesterday when they phoned me up to say it was ready that I actually got any information about what was actually happening with my car. And again, that's not really good enough. Someone needs to be proactively managing these problems. When the driver's lost their car for 3 weeks, on a car of this value, someone needs to take responsibility. That's all I really can say at the moment. I'll see how the car works out, see if the chargers actually work going back. I'm going to try one of the chargers I failed at previously. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But I'm glad they checked it out. I'm glad they've done all the tests. I mean, they've certainly done a barrage of tests. They could show me everything they'd done, which was a lot of stuff. I'm still suspicious it was a 12-volt battery. It wasn't actually, I say it wasn't replaced, but it was recharged. Now, the only other thought I had is my car had been sitting before we did. Mind you, this is before we did the German trip. So you'd expect it to get charged back up by that, but it had been sitting for weeks in the odd body shop. And I wonder if that might have had an effect on the 12 volt. But they say it's the charger, so for the moment I'm going to have to believe that. And yeah, we'll see how we get on. So I guess the question people are going to ask is, has this experience put me off the I-Pace? And the answer is totally no. It not put me off at all. I really miss the car. There's just something about it. I mean, there's something about electric cars in general. I mean, this is not really just specifically an I-Pace thing. Once you've driven electric, you just don't want to go back. And it's not just about economy or green credentials. I mean, they're just fun. They're fun and relaxing at the same time, which is, yeah, a strange thing. So I will charge at East Dereham, I think. I think that's how we're going to end up in a minute. We're going to come back onto that road, and we'll see if that will actually charge at the Engini there, which it didn't charge at before. Hopefully it will. It doesn't actually need much charge. I can get home without that charge if need be. But we'll see. The other thing I want to see is that at the moment Wattcat is showing the TCU, the telemetry unit battery, as being quite low, and that charges off the 12 volt as you drive along apparently. So I guess that's because that's disconnected, it's gone quite low. But that's quite important for updates, etc. So I'd like to see if that's actually charging up over this journey. We'll have a check on that in a little while. But other than that, yeah, that's all good stuff. So the other thing you may notice is I've got a new camera arrangement. It'll be interesting to see if it looks any better, and also what the sound quality is like. Hopefully it should be better on sound quality. So do let me know what you think. At the moment it looks pretty good to me. They say the definition of insanity is trying something again which has failed, don't they, or something like that. Okay, let's see if we can get this to charge. Well, it took a couple of attempts, but yes, it is charging, so that's good. Yeah, seems to be very time sensitive as to when you plug the cable in. But yeah, I'm charging away, so that's excellent news. Anyway, I've done a bit more research now, and I've spoken to Engini because I've got some really good contacts there, and they told me that the problem they saw on their logs was an isolation log error. So something they know about and are talking to JLR about. It happens occasionally with I-Paces on their devices. Now these chargers are actually exactly the same one as Abu Dhabi Dude has his problems with in Scotland, the eVolt chargers, eVolt based chargers on ChargePlace Scotland. So it's possibly a similar issue to they've got up there. But basically the car car's reporting that it's got an isolation fault. Now, you really don't want to charge if you've got an isolation problem, because basically you could be putting electricity through somebody, and the safety is first and foremost in these things. The question is why there's an isolation fault, and I've had some inside information from Jaguar about my particular issue and the logs on that, and yeah, I mean it definitely flagged that there was an issue with the charging equipment. There was an isolation problem there, so it wasn't the car actually an error, it thought the charging equipment was an error. Now, this may be down to tolerances, maybe down to settings, but the problem, as I've said before, the CCS charging standard is a little bit vague on some of this stuff, and I think certain people interpret it one way, certain people interpret it the other way. You can't blame Jaguar for interpreting it fully as tightly as possible to the standard says, because if you think about it, if there was a problem, if someone was electrocuted and they hadn't followed that, the claims could be huge. So I think that I can see why they've gone that way, but it does seem a little odd that it's only the I-Pace which has these issues with these chargers, although there are some other vehicles which have had certain issues in the past, but most of them don't have this particular issue. So the good news is this, my logs are actually helping greatly to resolve this issue. So I actually don't mind the fact that my car was in for 3 weeks. If it's helping people and helping solving this charging issue going forward, that's fine. What I do, as I say, mind is lacking in communication. Anyway, I'm going to leave that here with you. That's my tale of woe for the couple of weeks, but it's great to have the car back. I've missed my car greatly. I still think it's a really good car to have, and I wouldn't be without it. Anyway, see you in the next edition. Hopefully by then we'll have had the meetup, which will be really good, and I'll talk to you then.